So, hey, everybody, it's your guy, who is Josh G. I got a special guest today, my guy, Bobby McIntyre with Nations Direct. He is a direct wholesale lender that I work with as part of my company. He's one of the investors that we send loans to today. And he's going to actually peel back the curtain and give you a look of what it looks like behind the curtain with a lender such as myself and how we work together as a team to offer you, the client, the best rates out there in the industry. Bobby?
Hey, Josh, thanks for having me on. Bobby McIntyre from Nations Direct Mortgage. I work with about 60 to 70 different companies in Pennsylvania and New Jersey, all different lenders. We run a business to business model over here. So, whereas I'm kind of the man behind the curtains and not dealing directly with the consumer like Josh is, I do work, create creative solutions to help get people into homes and work with smaller business owners, medium-sized business owners, larger business owners to find the best financing for you guys. I started in the industry at a very young age, and I started at a company of 16, 17 different people. One of my first questions was, why would somebody not go to one of the big box retailers out there? Why would someone not go to a huge bank, Wells Fargo, Chase, who does thousands and thousands of mortgages every year? How could it not be cheaper to go there? How can we even compete from a cost standpoint? And then I very quickly realized that, although buying things in bulk, like you would do it at Costco as opposed to your local grocery store, would make things cheaper, those companies also have a lot of overhead and inherent costs that you and I modeled. So, when you and I do business together, it's a loan officer, a processor, underwriter, a closer, and me as a pipeline manager. You have 5 people moving forward the production of your loan, and truly getting you to the end goal. Those banks will have the same 5 people over there. In addition to that, they will have a regional sales manager and national head of sales. They will have a compliance team. They will have a legal team of lawyers. Especially when you're dealing with the bank side, a lot of these people out there combating the regulations, right? So we are strictly production. Even when the bank does close your loan, ultimately they then need to work to sell that off in the secondary market, which is another cost. Whereas when you are selling a loan to my team of underwriters, who again are on the production side, it's kind of an end cap goal. So we are the ones keeping the loan at the end. We are a major servicer as well. So we remove that component. And by removing all these components, we kind of go against the overall cost effectiveness of doing so many loans. There's not this middle management in the road. There's not all these ancillary things. There's not, like you mentioned, advertising. Commercials can cost millions of dollars as well. So although they probably do run these bigger companies at a thinner margin than us, ultimately every little cost that they put in there adds up, and it ends up inflating the total cost to do a loan as a consumer.
Yep, absolutely. It's almost like real frankly, wholesale versus retail. The same reason, like what you said, why the chicken is cheaper at Costco, because you're doing it in bulk, versus doing it, 1 pound at the grocery store, right? And eliminating those additional layers. I always have a saying that there's no such thing as a free lunch, right? Somebody's paying for it ultimately. And it's cool, to get the tchotchkes or whatever with the lender's name on it, the giveaways, the stadiums, the commercials, and all that. That's all fine and dandy. But at the end of the day, it's their customers that are paying that bill, that tab. And it's built into the pricing. And that's why, I went with this model, because I knew with inflation and everything else, we were heading into a rate sensitive market. I needed to best position myself with others who have, best positioned themselves to navigate this market and still offer, the best financing, to home buyers that they can qualify for, and, literally just get their rate versus having to pay, advertising bill, a bunch of middle management that's totally unnecessary in this business. That all falls back on the consumer, and that's why you'll see a wide range of rates, between like these big box lenders and somebody that's a smaller, more hyper local lender like myself, that runs lean and mean.
Yeah. Yeah. And even my perspective, coming from a wholesale lender previously who did have a large retail sector as well, there would be some people out there, and just your average consumer. And I don't think it's a dumb thought by any means, right? Hey, Josh is going to take my loan. He's ultimately going to sell it off to this company that has a big retail branch. Why would I not just save money, cut Josh out as the middleman, go directly to the retail branch? And I can assure everybody here that, although that they could probably afford to do loans 50% cheaper than you, their costs are almost double. So what it ultimately ends up being is, again, more expensive for you. And the reason that that model does work so well, again, is all of those costs that I mentioned about going directly to the retailer, the compliance, Josh running his own compliance, the sales managers. We don't need to manage him. He's almost just kind of essentially farming the business out there, bringing it directly to us, processing it, shaping it up. It doesn't need to be managed, and we cut out so much of that weight right there. It ultimately benefits the consumer, and that's what a lot of people, fail to realize, is that everything that we're doing here today from a cost standpoint is trying to, one, everybody has to make money, everybody's got to put food on the plate. We do this for a living, but anytime that we can save the consumer money, it's going to be beneficial. And it's absolutely, in this day and age, with the internet out there and people's ability to do their own research and shop, they're going to find that you are going to be the best option way more often than not.
Yep, and you're exactly right. There are necessary evils that, you have to incur costs, when getting a mortgage, right? You have to have your appraisal, right? No matter what. You got to have an underwriter, you got to have a processor, you got to have a closer. But when you have somebody that's a seasoned professional like myself and you as well, we can cut out a lot of the what we call like the sexy support, right? It's nice to have all the assistance and this and that. But all that is literally added onto the bill, ultimately pushed up into the rate. And that's where it goes back. What I say again, a lot of times is who you work with matters. You want to make sure that you're working with a very capable professional, especially in this market, to help you navigate it. But also with that, the price for their service going along with that, right? And I always try and position myself. I say I give you a Gucci experience at a Walmart price, and I think that's where it's missed, because it's either a Gucci experience at a Gucci price or a Walmart experience at a Walmart price, right? And I said, well, why can't you have both? And with this model, you can actually deliver both, where I'm delivering a best in class experience while giving somebody, a rock bottom price. Because usually, the old saying, the lower the price, the lower the service, and it goes hand in hand, right? You order something for your home, off of like Wish or Temu, it's going to come out, it's going to be junk, right? It's cheaper, it's going to be a cheaper product, a cheaper experience. And we're able to do that without sacrificing service due to our expertise, and being able to cut out all that middle management and support.
Yeah. And I think you can even use yourself as a good and clear example of the differences. I know that you recently joined this channel of business probably about a year ago or so, right? And you have options as well. So you're doing the same thing no matter what. You're out there connecting consumers with lending options, and you yourself chose to go this route. And I think it's probably largely perpetuated by, if you look at what the economy is doing, and I'm sure everybody's paying attention to somewhat the news, rates moving up ultimately means that housing affordability is a little difficult in this day and age. I still firmly believe that everyone should be out there looking. If you want to buy a house, please go and buy a house. It is never a bad time to buy a house, but let's try and make that as affordable as possible. And I think that you moving over, and I've seen a lot of loan officers, I don't just work with you and your company. I work with 60 to 70 different companies in the PA and New Jersey area, and I have seen a lot of loan officers leave different companies. And I won't mention any by name, but I've seen them leave a lot of big box lenders and move over to the broker channel, and they will never go back, because they feel that, hey, anytime I can add more value to my sale, anytime I can talk to a consumer and be able to give them something more, whether that's a discount in underwriting, whether that's moving through something quicker, or maybe that's giving expanded products to somebody I wasn't getting at my previous company, because you have the ability to work with 15 different lenders. And between those 15 different lenders, they have every single product covered. That is ultimately going to help you in your journey, and it's going to help your consumer, anybody that's going directly to you for a mortgage. It's going to help them find the best financing.
100% exactly right, Bobby. With me being a forward thinker and knew this was where the market was turning, you have to best position yourself where you need to be in order to offer the best value and service to your clients. This market is extremely dynamic and not static. So you have to adjust with the times. I always cringe when I hear somebody tell me, oh, well, I've been a loan officer for the past 30 years, or I've been a realtor for the past 30 years. Okay, that's great. This market right now is a world of difference 30 years ago. So what you did and what you did 30 years ago is not going to work in this market. Heck, what you did 30 months ago is not going to work in this market. So you have to constantly be evolving. Otherwise, you're going to end up extinct, right?
Yeah.
So this is all part of the evolution. And I do this not only, of course, to benefit myself, right? I got to take care of my family, but I also want to take care of my clients' families as well. And exactly right, where housing affordability is a big question mark right now in the market, I want to put the best foot forward for my clients to show them that, hey, you can still purchase a home. We can be smart with money, offer them, fantastic financing options, and help them achieve home ownership and start building equity in their properties, versus renting and getting nothing out of it except for a roof over your head.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Wonderful. And that's awesome. And that's what it's all about. When you're working with true professionals like us, we're going to make sure that you get the best rates programs that you qualify for. So, depending on your profile, your DTI, your debt to income ratio, your credit, your loan to value, pretty much your profile, everybody is unique as a fingerprint. I'm able to navigate and place your loan with the investors that are going to give the most aggressive pricing, with that model. Bobby gets a lot of the business, but not always, because I will always, much as I love Bobby, right? I will always place my client where they can get the best deal. So in this model, it's highly, highly effective. And when we're working with true professionals, not only that, but we also have to deliver great service as well. And that's a key component. And Bobby and his group does a really great job, not only on the front end, but also on the back end post closing, because they service their whole loans, which is great, because a lot of times people are like, oh my God, I closed and my loan went to ABC company and they stank. And oh my God, I'm so frustrated. You're always involved in the transaction. If we ever have any issue with the escrow or something post closing, Bobby's always a phone call away, which is amazing. And it delivers a better client experience for those that put, their faith and trust in me, originating that mortgage for them to get their home. But Bobby, I got to ask you, what got you into this? What made you get into mortgages and also, onto the wholesale side of things?
So originally my family worked in mortgages. So from a young age, I was almost pressed into service. I worked at a smaller lender that eventually got bought by a bank. And I think I very quickly realized that I love the people that I work with. I don't necessarily know if I love the model of working for a bank. And like we're going to talk about just in a second here, there's a lot of different moving parts when you work with an agency that's so strict. Um, in terms of federal regulations and being a depository and stuff like that. So I kind of moved over about 5, 6 years ago to this type of model where it is very much a mortgage centric model. This is all we do over here is mortgages. All you do over there is mortgages. So it becomes the priority. This is our lifeblood over here. This is what we make 100% of our money doing. And as a result, we don't have all these distractions all over the place that are going to cause us to leak out profit one way or another. And all that does is ultimately get funneled into a better deal for the client.
100% couldn't agree more, Bobby. So in this market, we got a lot of buyers that are a little bit unsure of what to do. Do they wait? Do they pull a trigger? Give me some of your best practices, from your side about buyers, like what they should do. What do you feel would be the best move for a buyer in this market?
So a lot of people too, I think there's two big misconceptions out there, right? You got the people out there that say it's a horrible time to buy, rates are up, and wait for housing prices to come down, which you and I both know. If you look historically, the housing prices have gone down maybe 3 out of the last 30 years. And even if they did come down a little bit, within 3 to 4 years, they were right back up to the same price. So, real estate is one of the hottest commodities. It's a limited supply out there. And for anybody who can understand things like Bitcoin being a limited supply, and you see what that does to price, real estate is even worse because there's no more real estate. There's no more earth being built, right? So there's only a finite amount of land. So you have those people, and then you have the other people too that's saying it's never a good idea to rent and you always have to buy. I don't necessarily agree with those people either, because you don't want to get into a transaction that you're going to pull out within a year. So my always best suggestion is, when you're considering buying a house, take a look at where you are in life. If you know where you're going to be for the next 4 or 5 years from a location standpoint, if you have secured a good job, if you're starting a family or whatever, now is definitely the time to buy. It's always the time to buy as soon as you know where you're going to be. The only advantage to renting would be the flexibility to kind of move between locations. You know, if you know you got to be over in this state or over in that state. But I'm in New Jersey right now. If I know I'm going to be in New Jersey or Pennsylvania or Delaware, in that tri-state area for the next foreseeable future, then absolutely I want to set my roots down here. I want to buy. I want to start earning that appreciation. I want to start, getting that tax write-off for interest. There's a lot of stuff that goes into it. It is an investment, and it's an investment. Similarly, you're going to have to take the jump, just as people have to take the jump when, you know, you first enter the stock market, or when you're first contributing to your 401k. These things are a little unknown to us at first when we're younger, and we don't really quite know the best strategy to it. But that's why we employ people like you, who are mortgage professionals, and that's why you make your living, because you can guide people through it. So I would say that, one, if you know where you're going to be in the next 5 to 7 years, buy a house now, and not later. And two, if you're not sure, or if you're on the fence, then call up Josh and ask him what his opinions are. And he's going to give you an honest opinion too. Buying is not for everybody, but it's for a lot more people than people think out there. And I can tell you, ever since I purchased my home about 3 years ago, I've seen a crazy amount of appreciation year over year. If I had to sell this house right now, I would have turned more of a profit than I actually would have if I put that money in the stock market. Now, you can't say that about every single year, but more years than not, you're going to see that kind of growth in your financial goals.
Absolutely right. That's why I love real estate, especially from the investment side, also from your resident side, because it's an investment that you can actually live in. You can't live in Bitcoin, right? Can't live in Tesla, right? But you can live in your home and enjoy that appreciation. And Bobby, you said something very, very important that I want to revisit as well. And you're exactly right. You need to talk to a trusted professional, because if buying isn't right for you, I'm going to tell you. And sometimes it's a bitter pill to swallow, but I'm ultimately looking out for you and your family. If I tell you no, there's a bona fide reason as to why you shouldn't be buying, because honestly, at that point, I don't benefit from telling you no, right? That does not feed my family. That does not put food on the table. But I would rather tell you no and do right by your family, because in turn, you're going to be so impressed by that. You're going to be like, wow, Josh was a straight shooter. He helped me out. He helped me do what I need to do to get buyer ready, or whatever the case may be. And people remember that, and they'll refer you. They'll recommend you. Even if I wasn't, even I get referrals even from people that I don't even go to closing with, that they were like, wow, Josh is such a straight shooter. I really appreciated his honesty, got me on the right track. And, I'm going to be a homeowner. I became a homeowner. So you're exactly right. You got to get with the right professionals. If you trust your doctor, right? You want to have a good doctor. You need a good CPA that you can trust. You need a good financial advisor that you can trust. You need a good mortgage professional that you can trust. All these people need to be in your lineup. If you don't have these professionals lined up in your sphere, then you need to find somebody like me who has these people that can make a recommendation of a trusted professional, like a good contractor, a plumber, or electrician. They're worth their weight in gold.
Yeah.
So it all goes back to who you work with matters, and you want to make sure you're getting the right advice in order to make the right decisions.
Yeah. And the other thing too is, don't be shy when you're reaching out to mortgage loan officers as well. I'm never shy. I pay someone every year to do my taxes. I'm never shy asking them, what should I be doing next year? Should I be doing anything differently? Should I be contributing more money to this, more money to that? How do I get the best tax credit? I can look that information up myself. I can spend hours researching that. But why would I do that when I'm paying somebody to give me that information for me? The other big thing as well, we don't tend to tell people a yes or a no when it is it time to buy a house. We tell them a yes, or how long will it take you, and we put together a roadmap for them. So even if you're on the side of, I really don't think I am in position to buy a house, You would be surprised the amount of people that I said you are 6 months from now if you do
Hmm.
A, B, and C. And these are things too, like, whether in terms of credit repair, making sure you're making your payments on time, or just being at a new job long enough where the income is stable enough where most lenders will look at you, kind of put you into those best agency programs there. Some of these things take 6 months, 9 months, 12 months to put together. If you're not having that conversation today, and then you go to walk into a house and say, okay, well, I want to buy in 2025, even if you want to buy in 2025, if you don't set yourself up today to get there, and if you don't talk to people who are paid to give out this advice for a living, you might not be taking the proper steps, and you might find yourself in 2025 without the ability to qualify for a mortgage because you didn't have that conversation today.
Absolutely. And I hear that loud and clear. And you're exactly right. It's that old saying, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail, right? And when you work with, a quality loan officer, even if it is a no, we're going to give you a roadmap. I call it a success plan, saying you're here today. This is where you want to be. These are the action items you need to take, whether it be like what you said, credit repair, maybe a little bit more savings, some seasoning on a job. We'll guide you through that, just like your healthcare professional would say, you're here with your health. We need to bring you here. We're doing the same thing with your financial health to make sure that you don't make a misstep. The other thing I'm hearing loud and clear is time. Time is the most valuable thing. And it's never too early to get pre approved, because if there is some polishing or some action items that need to be done, you have plenty of time. So if you're renting, or maybe you're a first time home buyer, living at home with the parents still and saying, oh, I'm still a year and a half out. Pick up the phone, speak to a professional, and let's put together a game plan. And the other thing too, as well, a lot of times people say, I'm not sure if I'm ready or not, right? And they pick up the phone, and I'm like, yo, you did a great job getting ready. You got money saved, you got a great job, you got great credit. Let's get you into the game, because sometimes we're our own worst critics, and we're bow beating ourselves, right? And the whole time you could have been buying it, you wouldn't have known until you had that call. So a lot of times I have buyers that are pleasantly surprised, like, oh my God, you mean I could buy a house now? And I'm like, yeah, you did all the right things. Congratulations, kudos. Let's get you out there. So I agree, have that conversation and check your ego at the door, right? When I go into the doctor's office, when the doctor says, hey, Josh, this is what we need to do, I'll ask questions, I'll understand, but I'm not going to challenge and be like, well, like, and act like the expert. Oh, well, I read on WebMD, that we should be doing this, right? We want to ask questions from a curiosity standpoint so we understand the processes. And I encourage my buyers to ask questions as well, because there's a lot of misinformation, out there. But I always agree, get yourself to the right professional for anything that you do in life, and things will go through a lot smoother and will save you a lot of time and money.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, Bobby, in closing, give me one thing that somebody should do right now to get them in the best possible position to enter this market as a home buyer right now. And I'm putting you on the spot. So take a minute if you need it.
Yeah, to listen, to put yourself in the best possible position. You always want to check multiple options, and if you don't want to check multiple options, check with somebody who will check for multiple options. And this kind of all ties back into, a broker versus banker mentality and process over here. You know, I am only one of Josh's options. I'm one of 10, 12 good options that Josh has. He's got another 10, 12 guys behind that for very specific products as well. So, a lot of people ask me as well. I had a family member come to me and they said, well, should I be shopping the mortgage? I said, I'm going to shop the mortgage for you because I work with so many people. So I'm already going to find you the best avenue to get financing in there. So if you want to do your due diligence, make sure you're selecting somebody who has good relationships with the lenders out there and can talk to a few different people on your behalf. That's what they're getting paid to do. Let Josh have those conversations. He's looking at rates across all 10 to 12 lenders every day. He's looking at products. He's looking at how likely is this to go through? How likely is it, to get approved easily for the borrower without beating them up for too much documentation? And all of that heavy lift right there is ultimately going to land you in the best financial position.
There you go. You heard it from the man himself, direct from the horse's mouth. This is the money guy. This is where your money comes from when you purchase a home. So I hope you all enjoyed the peek behind the curtain. Our contact information's here at the end of the slide. Reach out, DM. We are here to help you and help you achieve the goal of home ownership and get you into the best possible mortgage that you qualify for. Let's go.